Okay, today is going to be an honest video. For those who don't know me, I am Arman Khodaei, and I'm 27 years old and on the autism spectrum. I welcome you to Insights from an Autistic. I sometimes get comments, oh, you don't seem like you have autism, or whatever. In real life, on YouTube, whatever. And so today I want to talk about how autism still affects me today. And I sometimes try to deny certain aspects of autism. I say, oh, I'm fine, I'm good. I don't necessarily want to see myself as normal, but I don't want to be seen as defined by autism per se. So I just want to be myself and have no obstacles or barriers in my life. And so I try to sometimes deny to myself that there are obstacles and barriers in my life related to autism. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing necessarily, because it isn't. But I sometimes try to overlook aspects of my personality. So, how autism affects me today? Well, the biggest thing is that I'm very selfish in conversations. I've noticed this lately and I need to really work on it. Luckily, I have the self-awareness to realize I need to work on it. Like, I fail to ask people about themselves, about their interest. It's all about me when I'm having a conversation. I'm always talking about myself, about my projects. I might ask someone how they're feeling. I'm like, oh, how's your day going? So I'm doing a little bit of small talk, but I don't really try to engage them. I don't try to say, oh, did you see that movie? Or if you didn't, like, oh, what are your interests? No. Oh, tell me more. Why are you interested? I really fail to be engaged with people, whereas people will be engaged with me and ask me about my interest and keep talking, but I am failing to show an interest. And this is even worse because at my groups, I'm good at getting people to do tasks, but I want to be a better leader in the sense that I also want to show the group members that I care about them and, really, engage them as an individual and say, tell me more about your interest. Why does this interest you? And I'm not doing that. And I'm in all aspects of my life. I don't feel like I'm really engaging people and showing a true interest in them. And I need to do a better job on that. And I will do a better job on that because I want to do a better job on that. Even though it's cool talking about myself all the time. I think people would like me better if I did that. I think I'd empower people that way, especially people in my groups who are on the spectrum. I think they'd feel empowered if I took an interest in them. And, I think it would be easier for me to meet girls that way if I showed an interest to them and said, hey, tell me more about your interest and why is it interesting? That would probably say, oh, this guy's interested in me genuinely. He wants to get to know me better. That would probably help me a great deal if I think about that. Yeah. So that's the biggest aspect of autism that affects me today is my ability to communicate. I've improved in communication, but I am not perfect in my communication skills, even though I wish I was 100% perfect. And I do push myself to be a better communicator. I really do. That's a big area that I work on, and that's why I'm so good, because I have pushed myself over and over, and I will continue to push myself. And if you have the ambition and the goal to be a good communicator, and even though you're on the spectrum, you can definitely achieve that. It's very attainable. It just takes a lot of work. Other areas that autism affects me. Stimming. For me, I have to have a physical object in my hand, but I still stim a lot. I sometimes even stim in public, but my hands will be behind my back where no one can see me. I do most of my stimming in my bedroom. That's a very big thing. for me is stimming. I don't think I'm gonna probably let that go anytime soon. So, but it affects. I mean, it's still a part of who I am, and eye contact is another area I need to work on. I think I'm afraid to improve eye contact. Actually, I am, because there have been times where I've been better at eye contact and I've actually been pretty good at making eye contact in conversations, but. I know, and I've actually kind of overcome some of the fears and barriers of making eye contact, but then I'm afraid that if I become too perfect at communication that I will cure myself of my autism, I guess you could say. Yeah. And, a part of me is attached to the concept of my autism, and a part of me is like, oh, if I become this really great communicator, if I do realize my goal, being a really awesome person who's really awesome at communication, has really awesome communication skills despite being on the spectrum, I'm afraid that I will destroy a part of who I am, and so it's complicated. It's very, very complicated, to say the least. A part of me wants to cling on to these barriers of mine, a part of me wants to break through these barriers of mine. And so there you go. Other aspects, I have a hard time multitasking. I just really can't do that well. I get very focused on things. I beat myself up over mistakes I make, and I have this saying that I sometimes tell myself, oh, you failed once, you failed forever. So if I make a mistake, I look at it as more than just a mistake. I look at it as a big time failure, like something that you can't recover from, and I'm trying to let those things go and to move on, but it still affects me. And I'm just being honest with you in this video. This is probably one of my most. All my videos are honest, but I mean in terms of being vulnerable. This is one of my more vulnerable videos where I'm really trying to. I try to have a very positive attitude, and I do have a very positive attitude. But in today's video, I want to show the aspects of myself that I tried not to admit even to myself, I guess. And so those are definitely some of those aspects. And what else? I'm sure there's a million other things, not letting go of something, like I said, but not just not letting go, but even when circumstances are not in favor of something, they're just clinging on to that hope and desire, which I don't think is a bad thing per se. But but when outside circumstances change and to be stuck in that fantasy land, that's when things go bad, and that I still do that sometimes. So those are some. I'm sure there's other things, maybe I can't even see them myself personally. Maybe I'm blinded, to my own aspect of myself, and it's really hard to self-evaluate oneself and to really look at oneself in the mirror all the time. Even when you have made almost 500 videos and a zillion blog entries and wrote a memoir and all that type of great stuff. But anyway, I thank you for watching today's video, and I wish all of you an awesome day of awesomeness.